Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce one of my co-organizers, Amy Costella, who will now read and discuss some excerpts from the Declaration of Independence. Please welcome Amy Costella.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for all your hard work in putting this together today. Is it cold enough for you? That's what I thought. Hello, floor. I'm going to start off with the first line of the Declaration of Independence. It states that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes obstructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Thomas Jefferson wanted future generations of Americans to monitor the actions of government. He wanted the people to have the ability, the right, and indeed the duty to alter a government that oversteps its bounds. He wrote the Declaration in 1776, but his words have withstood the test of time. They've never been more relevant in my lifetime than they are today. President Obama's Chief of Staff, Rahm Emanuel, advises President Obama to never let a good crisis go to waste. It's pretty clear that Congress has adopted this mantra as well as the administration. They're using our current economic crisis to pass social reforms and sweeping government interventions that we the people would normally oppose. We don't want our government taking over our private industry. We want it to simply protect the law, the Constitution, and our nation's security. It is our duty as Americans to vote out politicians who no longer care about the consent of the governed. So we say today, Congressmen, Senators, and President Obama, listen to the people. Stop the spending. Stop the bailouts. Stop spreading the wealth, or lose your jobs. Jefferson's next line in the Declaration of Independence states that prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while the evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they've become accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. We have become the infamous frog in the pot. If we were thrown into scalding water, of course we would immediately jump out. But placed into comfortably warm water will stay as the temperature rises until eventually it's too late. Our government has been turning up the heat little by little, growing larger and imposing more taxes while stripping away our individual freedoms and creating a dependent citizenry through government handouts. No! As Americans, we've become accustomed to our comfortable lives. We've taken for granted the privilege of living in the greatest nation on earth. We assume that our freedoms will always remain, and that the foundation of our republic is too strong to crumble. We've silently accepted rising taxes to fund social programs that we don't agree with. We've sat quietly and watched our government raise a deficit so large that our grandchildren's grandchildren will still be paying our debts. This administration of hope and change in the new era of responsibility has tripled that deficit. And they've given us a budget that the Congressional Budget Office warns us will bankrupt our country. Politicians like to talk about two Americas. They talk about the haves and the have-nots. But they themselves have created two Americas of tax consumers versus taxpayers. The tax consumers continue to grow in number while the taxpayers shrink. Our government has placed an unsustainable burden on the back of the American worker. That's something that we've lived with in New Jersey for far too long. Vice President Joe Biden might think that being a patriot Our Vice President might think that being a patriot involves paying higher taxes to spread the wealth. But Thomas Jefferson would disagree. Thomas Jefferson will call everyone attending a Tea Party today a patriot for defending. We are patriots for defending the republic that Jefferson helped to create. We the people, the silent majority, shall be silent no more.